think I should be allowed to do that.
She's talking to Banksia Tigers. Are you the priest?
Yeah. Ready to go? Yep. All right, welcome councillors, members of the public and staff, present in person, joining us online and watching via YouTube this evening. Have a bit of reverb somewhere. I declare this, yeah, that's not great. Can we figure out the AV before we keep going? All right, trying one more time. Very good, thank you. Great job to the IT staff. I declare this meeting of Bayside Council open at 7:05 p.m. Councillors and those present in the chamber are reminded to conduct themselves in a polite and professional manner, keep communication factual, use appropriate language and tone. Council meetings are live streamed and recorded via YouTube. Please therefore treat everyone with dignity, respect and do not use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Defamation laws do apply to addresses in the public forum. Members of the public that have registered to speak in person will be called forward during the public forum. Please proceed to the lectern. Members of the public that have registered to address by audio-visual link are asked to keep your microphone muted and video off until invited to speak. Please note speakers will not be able to present material as part of their speaking time or share their screen. Councillors are reminded of their obligations to conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner under the obligations of Council Code of Meeting Practice in the interest of good governance and to adhere to meeting etiquette. All present are reminded that the YouTube video recording is an official record of Council and will be accessible via YouTube in accordance with the Code of Meeting Practice. No other recordings are permitted and all present should ensure that there are no video recordings, audio recordings or photographs taken. In case of emergency, please follow the instructions of the Council staff, exit via the Town Hall foyer and proceed to the evacuation point. With that being said, I would like to begin by acknowledging the Bidjigal clan, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and work, and also acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. On behalf of Bayside Council, I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I now invite Father Vlado Nadeski from St Petka Macedonian Orthodox Church at Mascot to open our meeting in prayer. Thank you, Father.
Yeah, we're neighbours here. Thank you. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil one. Glory to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, both now and ever and to ages of ages. Amen. Our Christ, who is truth, the way, the life, we thank you for revealing yourself to us and for giving us holy tradition and holy scripture. Grant us clear minds and sincere faith with which to participate in this meeting. Abide with us and keep us in good spirits for the benefit of our holy church and all God's people. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father. We now move to condolences, and I'd just like to, first call on Councillor Curry to say a few words.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple of condolences this evening. So the first one is for Paul Craven. He was affectionately known as Ica, and he was a warm and generous presence in our community and was actually the person that helped start the Stotts Reserve Bush Care Group in North Bexley back in 2010, and this was the first group formed after Mitterlong Gardens in Bexley. He was extremely dedicated to bush care and regeneration in our area, and his care for the environment also extended in later years to Sir Joseph Banks Park and the landing lights, wetlands, always giving his time freely. He's one of Bayside's longest serving bush care volunteers and contributed hundreds and hundreds of hours over the years. Even as his health declined, he continued to turn up. He was always willing to share his knowledge with new volunteers, quietly encouraging others with his calm and generous nature. It's heartbreaking to know that he passed away at just 65 from a rare illness. His contribution to our natural environment and the community is immeasurable, and he'll be remembered with great affection and deep respect. So we acknowledge and pass on our condolences to his family and friends. And the second one, sadly, Les Cannon, who has been the long-term president of Mascot RSL sub-branch, passed away yesterday as well. So just want to acknowledge his many, many years of service and contribution, and just pass on our condolences to all his family and friends as well, and really acknowledge his contribution, which was many, many decades. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Curry. Councillors, any further speakers? Any further condolences? Thank you, councillors. I would just like to make a short announcement acknowledging that it's National Volunteer Week, or last week was rather, held between the 19th and 25th of May. Volunteer Week celebrates the power of volunteering to bring people together with the theme Connecting Communities. On behalf of Bayside Council, I just think it's important to extend our thanks to all of our volunteers, whether it's across great organisations like Bush Care, our sporting clubs, the hundreds and in fact the thousands of volunteers who make our community run. We have one presentation tonight to the family of Lillian May Brennan. As you would have seen around the area, this year's Council's Anzac flags featured the images of 8 Bayside women who made significant contributions to Australia's efforts during the First and Second World Wars. One of those women was Lillian May Brennan from Botany. Lillian was enlisted in the Women's Auxiliary Australian Air Force in August 1943 at just 19 years of age. The Women's Auxiliary Australian Air Force was the largest of the Second World War women's services, and Lillian served as a fabric worker until her discharge in October 1946. Lillian's family members who are here tonight described her as a true matriarch of the family who was born and lived in Botany for 94 years. She had 2 children, 5 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren, with several still residing in our Bayside Council area. Members of Lillian's family are here tonight, and I would like to invite her granddaughter Amanda Salas, together with Steve Campbell, Alison Campbell and Wilbur Campbell, to please come forward and accept this certificate from Council as well as the flag that features Lillian Brennan. Councillors, please feel free to come up and join us for a photo.
Just on behalf of my family, I'd just like to say thank you so much. It was a really true honour to be driving past by surprise to see our Nan on a flag, and I'm just wondering what she would say today, and she would be truly humbled. I really believe that the stories that she's passed down haven't been forgotten, and they are passed on to my children as well, and all the other children in the family. And we just like to say thank you so much, because celebrating women in war was a thing that sort of was on the back burner for so long, but now you've put that at the forefront, and I really like to say thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I think it is just worth acknowledging all the work that has gone into our Anzac commemorations this year, and the work of former Councillor Muscat, who really championed this idea. That we really don't know a lot about the stories of the women from our community who served during the war, and also obviously our fantastic library staff who do so much research into bringing those stories alive, and that'll be an ongoing piece of work. Thank you, councillors. I think we've got a full house, so there are no apologies received tonight, no leaves of absences or attendance via audio-visual link. Does any councillor wish to make any disclosure of interest? Councillor Curry, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Bezic, Councillor Boudelet, Councillor Strong, Councillor Kasim, Councillor Brederhoft, Councillor Sarabanovsky.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, do I still read them out?
I think you can read from the screen if you like.
Item 12.1 CPE 25.013. I declare a significant non-pecuniary interest in the item on the basis that I've had family that have had businesses in the past but are no longer trading, and I know some of the owners within the town centre, and I will be leaving the chamber for consideration and voting on this matter. Item 12.3 CS 25.010, the new licence for Rockdale Linden Football Club. I declare a less than significant non-pecuniary interest in the item, as I formerly played for the club for a number of years throughout the grade levels and attended a few social events held at the location. Although I don't hold any positions within the club, but I will leave the chamber for consideration and voting on the matter. And in terms of the notice of motion, item 13.14, public guideline for sporting club sponsorship arrangements, less than significant non-pecuniary interest, as I was a player for a number of clubs. Local club members assisted me on election day, but I'm not a member or hold any positions in any local clubs or sporting groups, and I'll remain in the chamber for the voting on the matter. Thank you.
Councillor Sarabanovsky, Councillor Naji, Councillor Disco.
I declare a less than significant non-pecuniary interest in the Illidan Football Club. They were a recent supporter of mine when I ran for the seat of Barton in the last federal election, but I'll be staying in the chamber as I am not a member of the club.
Councillor Disco, Councillor Awada, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Poulos, Councillor Douglas. And myself, I declare a less than significant non-pecuniary interest in item 12.4 CP 25.021 on the basis that changes to the policy relate specifically to mayoral entitlements and feel quite directed at me. So I'll nevertheless leave the meeting for consideration and voting on the matter. Councillors, minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Naji. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Items by exception. Now proceed to deal with the, I'm skipping things. Mayoral minutes. I do have two mayoral minutes tonight. The first one relating to violence in our community, which I believe have been distributed. I'm sure many councillors would have seen the horrific events that took place at East Gardens recently, in which some residents were brutally attacked. And we'll take the minute as read, but I just would like to say this is very concerning for our community. The South Sydney Police Area Command have taken prompt action and investigated the incident, so I think it's worth acknowledging and thanking them for their work. And I also think it's just worth acknowledging the work currently being conducted by the New South Wales Premier's Department to create a statewide social cohesion strategy, and that Bayside Council continues to participate in this significant piece of work. Councillor, is there any further speakers? Councillor Curry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor, for bringing this motion forward. It's very disturbing, actually, and it's had quite an impact. And it's a bigger societal issue, and I recognise it's a challenging one, and I too recognise the work of the police. And I also want to acknowledge Council's quick response. I know that the next day they made sure that our youth services were activated and that the police were contacted so that we could look into it. And I did speak to the resident whose wife was attacked, and it's very traumatic for their family. And there's also, I think, a lot that we can continue to do around working with the youth in our community and having some pop-up services in those areas, looking at also providing some programs as well where we can try and engage youth. And I know that our federal member, Matt Thistlethwaite, has convened a a group as well to work with interagency support to work on a number of initiatives along with the Premier and the state government as well. So I think we all play a role, and it comes back to, we've done a lot on council in relation to violence, and it's not acceptable, and I think that we have to continue to call violence out and make sure that we're not accepting that, but at the same time I'm really conscious that the right support is also in place for young people who are vulnerable and also need that guidance and opportunity to get a different type of support that they may need through their challenges. So thank you for putting this up.
Councillor Curry, are there any further speakers? Councillor Naji.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I commend you for bringing this mayoral minute. It is disturbing, we've all seen it, and I'm just wondering, I think maybe Councillor Boutelle was going to get up, we need to include the mascot area as well. I don't know if you've noticed on social media how disturbing and how violent it is, and it's the youth that we're attacking residents and spitting on them and so on. And I'm glad that the Premier's office and the South Sydney Police Area Command are doing their best to try and control, but I just don't want it to get out of control. Hope they can tackle it, because it's a wide national problem with the youth in Melbourne and Queensland and other states, so hopefully we can curb it. Thank you.
Councillor Naji. Councillor Sim.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to concur entirely with what Councillor Curry said about the importance of recognising the work of the police and the huge importance of working with the young people to ensure that they do feel included and enfranchised. That's very important. The other thing just to note is that I was told that there may have been some racial overtones involved as well, and so for me that really does reinforce the importance of working really closely and concertedly on social cohesion, and reaffirming that racism has absolutely no place at all in our community.
Thank you, Councillor Sim. Councillor Boutelle.
Just very quickly to echo Mr Mayor. Also saw some pretty disturbing videos in Mascot, around Mascot Central. As most people know, Mascot is a very multicultural community. There was a lot of spitting, punching, and it seemed to be aimed at certain groups. And I know people are in and around Mascot Central quite scared and quite shocked by that. So again, just reiterating great support from the General Manager and the Council in providing information as to what was happening, and obviously commending the police for their swift action. But yeah, if you would be open to also adding Mascot to that, that'd be very good. Thank you.
I think we can just acknowledge that at Mascot and East Gardens. Yep. Councillors, any further discussion? Oh, sorry, it's been pointed out it should be Eastern Beaches and Eastern. It's and Eastern Beaches Police Area Command. Thank you, Councillor Curry. Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Just one further mayoral minute, acknowledging the significant delays that have occurred on the M6, which are obviously very public. There is a massive contractual issue with the completion of the M6 tunnel construction, and this mayoral minute is just seeking to write to the Roads Minister, asking for engagement from Transport for New South Wales with us, particularly around the delivery of the surface works. Don't know how long it's going to take to complete this tunnel now, but we need to make sure that the disruption to our streets, to President Avenue, to our local parks is dealt with as quickly as possible regardless. Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. We now move to items by exception. Go around the room. Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey. No. Councillor Bezic. No. Councillor Boutelle. No. Councillor Strong.
Yes, CS 25013, the confidential matter, the early childhood learning. And I'm sure other people will pull it out as well, but the Gardiner Park lighting 1313 and the homeless...
You don't need to pull out notices of motion,
Okay.
Councillor Stroll.
1316.
Councillor Kasim, Councillor Brederhoft, Councillor Saravinovsky, Councillor Naji, Councillor Discu, Councillor Awada, Councillor Barlow.
Just CP 25/017. It's the tender update for the Bexley Bowling Club.
Sorry, which
CP.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Councillor Poulos.
So mine is CWA 25.017, the General Homes Drive, and CP 25021, and ARIC 25.015, ARIC 25.016, ARIC 25.017.
Thank you, Councillor Poulos, Councillor Douglas, myself. Anything further? Thank you, councillors. We now move to the public forum. Sorry, all over the shop tonight. All the other items will be dealt with by one resolution. May I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Kasim. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Members of the public who have applied to speak at the meeting are now invited to address the meeting. We have 6 speakers tonight dealing with item 13.13, notice of motion Gardiner Park lighting upgrades, which has 2 speakers, and item 13.14, notice of motion public guidance for all sporting club sponsorship arrangements. Speakers have 3 minutes to address the council. A warning bell will sound when only 1 minute of speaking time remains. Speakers who are joining the meeting via the MS Teams are reminded to have your video off and microphone muted until invited to speak. If you register a written submission prior to the meeting, please note that these have been provided to councillors. Speakers are reminded once again to keep communication factual, polite and professional, to use appropriate language and tone. Don't use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Starting with item 13.13, I'd invite Mr Hassan Shebley from the Banksia Tigers to speak.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors and council staff. My name is Hassan Chebli and I'm the president of Banksia Tigers Football Club, proudly based at Gardiner Park. I'm here this evening to ask for your support in upgrading the existing lighting at Gardiner Park for the all-weather field. While the park does currently have lighting, it is outdated, inadequate and no longer meets modern safety or sporting standards. Our club has over 900 members and volunteers, with 80% of our players aged between 5 and 18, 30% of our membership made up of girls and women. We are proud of our growth and our commitment to the local Bayside community, but the current lighting conditions are holding us back. In winter, poor lighting makes it difficult and often unsafe for our teams, particularly juniors and female players, to train in the evenings. Sessions are shortened, rescheduled, cancelled entirely, especially when we have technical issues with the current lighting, which is old and outdated. Upgrading to modern LED lighting would deliver safe, standard, compliant lighting for players and coaches, use energy-efficient directional LED technology to minimise light spill and reduce impact on neighbours, and importantly, benefit the wider community, including locals who walk through Gardiner Park at night, many with their families or walking their dogs, who would feel safer with improved lighting. This is not a sporting issue, it's a community issue. It's about health, safety, equity and responsible infrastructure. This request to upgrade the lights aligns directly with Bayside Council's community strategic plan, including Goal 1.1, a healthy and active community, Goal 2.1, an inclusive and harmonious community, Goal 4.1, sustainable and accessible infrastructure. We're not asking for a new facility, we're simply asking for support to make Gardiner Park safe, usable and accessible for everyone during the football season. Some councillors have some concerns and maybe also some neighbours. Just to clarify and make it clear, the usage of Gardiner Park will not increase as a result of the upgrade. What we're asking for is to have sufficient lighting for all weather field, specifically the synthetic field, in line with what council have done at Ador, J. Graham, Memorial Park and Arncliffe Park. As for funding, we're happy to see grants from state and federal governments and other organisations and work with Bayside Council to deliver the upgrade. I also want to highlight that some of the existing lighting that we have, the first 2 light poles was erected back in 2008, so it's about 17 years old. The lights that are on there are just end of life, they're not sustainable. And with this upgrade, there's a very good chance that we'll have less light poles than what we currently have. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for your time and for continuing to support grassroots sport and community spaces in Bayside. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chebley. I now call on Mr. Garnet Brownbill, interested resident, speaking. I've got it down here for the motion, but I imagine probably against the motion. Mr. Brownbill? Yes, no, online? No. All right, councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder for the motion? Moved Councillor Nargi, seconded Councillor Disco. Moto? Oh, second, Councillor Awada, sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I might make some amendments after consulting with the club, that in the point where it says increased evening training capacity, there's no increase. So if we can take that out. That's point 1, we can take that out, yep. Okay, then go to the second point. Improve safety of training, experiences for players, officials and spectators, that can still remain there. And maybe I'm repeating myself on the third one, having improved safety of training facilities or training time, so whatever you see fit, Mr. Mayor, but that's the whole idea, is there's no increase of usage of the club. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you. This motion may be framed as a feasibility study into lighting upgrades at Gardiner Park, but at its core, this is a matter of community safety. As councillors, our foremost responsibility is the well-being of our residents, whether they are walking to the shops, catching a bus, taking a stroll, or playing sport under the lights. Gardiner Park is a vital sporting hub, a home ground for custodian clubs, a training base, and a gathering place for local families. But as it stands, the park's lighting is holding it back. Evening training is now a necessity, not a luxury, given growing participation rates and limited daylight hours. Without adequate lighting, we risk overlooking schedules, cutting training short, and putting players, young and old, at risk. This is a disgrace. Football is the largest sport in our LGA. Football St George currently has over 13,000 registered players in the St George region and over 20,000 direct stakeholders to the clubs. The clubs are our biggest stakeholders, and we as a council must prioritise our stakeholders. The players deserve to train and compete in safe, well-lit environment. Parents deserve peace of mind when their children are on the field. Officials and spectators deserve to enjoy matches without visibility concerns. This is not just about capacity, it's about creating a space that reflects the need of a growing, active and vibrant community. Our players, our footballers deserve the best, and we should provide the best. Upgrade lighting will deliver safe evening training capacity, safer conditions for all users, better overall experience. Let us not forget the other parks in the LGA that have been upgraded, and some of them are in the process of getting upgraded to the LED lights. Memorial Park, Bicentennial Park, Arncliffe Park, Scarborough Park, Ador Avenue, J. Graham and Burralee Park, that's coming up next. These new LED lights are a fantastic new technology, Mr. Mayor, designed to keep the light on the pitch and not create light off set outside the pitch, meaning outsiders are not affected, Mr. Mayor. Let us be proactive, let us invest in our parks, like Gardiner Park, with the safety, dignity and needs of our community front of mind. I commend this motion to the Chamber and I hope we get the support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Naji. Further speakers? Councillor Awada.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I've had a lot of SMSs and emails regarding this, especially SMSs, and there's been a lot of confusion. So I stand up to actually support Councillor Naji's notice of motion to upgrade lights at Gardiner Park. But I firstly would like to address people that are probably watching on Facebook and any objectors and the wider community to clarify a few points, few key points for also councillors that are here that might have been contacted. Gardiner Park is used extensively by Banksia Tigers Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. And the clarification is there will not be extension of time. We're not asking, or the club is not asking to go past the 9:30. It's about the lighting. Importantly, they're not require any increase in the playtime. It's Monday to Friday, and Football St George allocate games on Saturday and Sunday. That's between 9 and 5. I've gone back in time. That's been going on for quite some years. Nothing's been happening as far as the lighting since we've had the synthetic fields. We've done the synthetic at Gardiner Park. The lighting infrastructure currently in place is inadequate. Some of the poles, as the speaker said tonight, is 17 years old, and I think my recollection is a couple of the poles were added back in 2016. The light output from these ageing fixtures is poor and uneven, posing a serious safety risk to the players, particularly during training sessions held after sunset, and that's in winter time. It is not just the football players who use Gardiner Park. During training times, the broader community also benefit from this space. Residents jog around the field, others walk their dogs, and it's become a well-used, well-loved community hub. So any improvement that's done to the park, it's really to the wider community, not only to the Banksia Tigers. The proposed notice of motion is a particularly necessary step. The new lighting system will improve safety for all users and will reduce the number of light poles from 5 to 4. I've done some research. With the LED light, obviously with the technology, with the new technology, we will have a better coverage with the light. And the existing poles are actually not in the right position for the field. So with the new poles, this will result in less light spill and reduce the impact on neighbours and residents, because some residents are saying with the new light they're having a problem with the residents across the road, which is not the case. So I guess this leads me to ask, why doesn't Gardiner Park have the same quality of lighting as other fields in the area? Could the opposition from a particular group be preventing a fair and necessary upgrade for the benefit of hundreds of club members? It is important to highlight that the current pole location do not meet the required standard. In fact, Council made provisions for new poles and wiring during earlier upgrade to the park, and that's when we did the synthetic, which suggests we anticipated the need for this very improvement. And ultimately, this is a safety issue, and as elected representatives here tonight, we have responsibility to ensure our sporting facilities are safe and compliant. We are talking about a club that serves approximately 800 players, aged from 5 to 18 years, and 30% of those players are girls. Let's also be clear, the club is not asking council to fund the upgrade, as we've heard from the speaker. They have committed, and I've spoken to the president before, to seek funding, grant funding from state and federal, and manage the upgrade costs themselves. All they need is the council's support to take them to that direction. I hope tonight we will have the support to pass this notice of motion, which will be the best interest of our young people and community. I commend the motion to council. Thank you.
Councillor Wada, further speakers? Councillor Strong?
Like, I love soccer, you know. A lot of people say that, you know, if you're against certain things, synthetic fields, then you don't, but I do. It's a big part of my life. My 11-year-old son plays every week. He's got real promise. I spend weekends on the sidelines cheering on him. I know how important this sport is for many families across Bayside. I go to matches, support Sydney FC, been to the Linden Stadium, even played for Bayside Council the other week at a charity match. Only touched the ball twice, but, you know, gave it a go. But I think there's unfinished business with Gardiner's Park community. They feel betrayed, and I think there needs to be really good community consultation. I mean, if these new tech lights reduce illumination, that's a good thing. But this heritage park was probably the wrong place for this synthetic field rollout, but it's there. But when it was installed, Bayside Council promised the community there'd be no change to usage levels, but since then, bookings have skyrocketed from 120 to over 300 days a year. A peaceful heritage-listed park that has been transformed into a de facto commercial sports complex without consultation or proper community consent. The local residents, many of whom have lived beside this park for decades, are now dealing with light spill, constant noise, parking chaos, litter and late-night disruption. Over 330 community members signed a petition begging for relief. They're not anti-sport, they're just asking for some balance. The park was once a shared green space, a place for informal recreation, family picnics, boccer games and quiet enjoyment. Now it's booked almost exclusively by one club. This isn't equitable, it's not inclusive. It's a breach of the park's own plan of management and conservation management. Now we're being asked to go even further, to light it up more, use it longer and plaster advertising across it. For the residents who live alongside the park, this motion is like taking a stick and stirring a hornet's nest. The noise, the traffic, light pollution, loss of passive open space, it's all causing distress. We really need to deal with this. I mean, we need the sporting places, but we've got to deal with the Gardiner's Park community. They feel betrayed. So I think, you know, down the track, we should definitely explore new fields at Riverine to cope with the LGA's vibrant soccer community and calendar. And I acknowledge the comments made an email today by Louise Carnib from the Banksia Tigers about the benefits of modern LED lighting, when that would be good. But we do need to look at the wider issue of the residents that need more consultation. They feel betrayed from previous promises to reduce usage and lighting, and it's just sort of gone up, you know. Residents have raised concerns of the cumulative increase in lighting poles beyond what was initially promised, apparent non-compliance with existing DA, inadequate monitoring enforcement by council, persistent neglect of parts of the park like boggy, unsafe areas. I believe a tree came down the other day, poor drainage and increasing flooding to nearby homes. Let's not forget that council previously passed a motion to plant screening red vegetation for residents. Years later, this still hasn't been done. Instead, we're talking about spending more money again for the benefit of the same club, while residents continue to live with odour, heat, noise and flooding caused by the synthetic field already installed against quite large, significant community resistance. The community is not saying no to sport. They're saying enough is enough. Respect the promises made, respect the balance.
Point of order, Mr Mayor. Sorry to do that. With all great respect to Councillor Strong, this is about safety lighting, not about the synthetic field. The synthetic field has been done and dusted. It's already there.
Thank you, Councillor. I think it's within the scope of the discussion, but I will keep speaking time limits tonight. We have a lot on the agenda.
One more paragraph. I mean, this motion must not go ahead without proper review. I think we really need to consult with that community. They feel betrayed from previous actions and promises broken. So Gardiner Park should not be it is, however, the only backyard for many residents who feel betrayed and unheard. So let's fix the drains, protect the trees, let's honour past commitments, and let's remember fairness means listening to everyone, not just the loudest lobby group. Thank you.
Councillor Strong. Councillor Brederhoft.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before I read the speech, I'm now quite concerned because effectively what we've heard here is that the current lighting and the park is not safe now, which is a bit worrying. Who has assessed that? And where's the evidence that the lights is not sufficient? So I question that assessment that has been made, and it wasn't sort of given to us in the papers or by council. So I just want to think that this is not just a feasibility study. For me, it's a signal of intent to increase the intensity of lighting capacity for night games right at the back doors of people's homes. And that's something residents have asked for. In fact, that's not something residents have asked for. In fact, they told us they didn't want it when we door knocked on Saturday at those homes around the field. And, you know, Gardiner Park is surrounded by homes and it is a heritage-listed park. Council previously assured the community that the use of the fields would not be intensified. We must honour this commitment as a council. And let's not forget, there is no dedicated parking, just street parking. I recently spoke with an older woman who nearly cried because she was so worried that her visitors to her home couldn't find a parking on a Saturday because there's just simply no parking, and council has never dealt with trying to find a solution for that. And these kinds of pressures for people are real there that live around nearby, and they're not against sport, and they play soccer there as well. And they have accepted the way that the Tigers are there now, the way that sport's conducted there now. They're okay with that. But as was mentioned before, Football St George has access to multiple grounds across Bayside, including Riverine Park and other parks, so that they are more appropriate for evening games, for greater light, and for fewer impact on local residents. We need to move away from this idea that one club must play every game at their home ground, at their home pitch, when it comes at the cost of the community. That model doesn't work in its densely populated residential areas. This is what we're really facing. So even commissioning a study costs also money, staff time, consultant fees, and future expectations. So this is not a responsible use of funds, in my view, when we have already committed that the field use would not be intensified. We must ask ourselves, would we want high-powered sport lighting and late-night games meters away from our own bedrooms? This motion may be well-intended, but it risks eroding trust in council and councillors, increasing financial burden and placing unnecessary strains on residents who deserve peace and quiet in their homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Douglas.
I have a foreshadowed motion that I'm bringing to the floor tonight, which is in response to the door knocking we did on the weekend with the community, but also in response to consultation with the General Manager, with Football St George and with the Banksia Tigers. I think what we're seeing here is obviously there's a greater need for more soccer fields, and we do have an option with Riverine Park just down the road. There's a field that's unallocated. There's a possibility for council to upgrade that park and it become available for the overspill for all the clubs in the area, including Bexley, Kingsgrove, and become a real asset to our community. It doesn't have the same issues around having residents just a few metres from it living. You could have lights there, you can have, the whole park is being upgraded and coming online within the next few years, and we've got this whole field that's not currently allocated and not going to be upgraded. So I'm coming to this with full respect for soccer, for the volunteers who run the soccer clubs, but also for the residents who are under pressure to say, look, here's a peaceful option that doesn't kick the hornet's nest, where we look at upgrading a facility that is just weighing lace at the moment. I walked past it again this morning on my morning walk, and it's a fantastic location,
very beautiful, very central, lots of parking. The council has great plans to upgrade the whole facility, including access by push bike with safer crossings at West Botany Street and Princess Highway. So it could be part of the amazing Barton Park complex that we have been investing in. So the foreshadowed motion is for us to do a needs assessment as well for soccer fields across Bayside, so that we can really talk to and listen to the various clubs' needs. Pending the outcomes from that, doing an investigation into the upgrade and activation of that fifth field in Riverine Park so that the council can support those clubs better, and then potentially also making that form the basis of an open spaces and recreation plan for the whole Bayside local government area to better inform council about users' needs, changing demographics, predicted high density areas, and where passive and active recreational space needs to be planned for and provided. So a bit of a long-term vision so that we're not just having to try and respond to, you know, lots of different needs, but actually have a bit more of a comprehensive plan. So I'd really love it if the councils could consider supporting that foreshadowed motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. Councillor Saravinovsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we can see there's a bit of division. I'd like to call on Councillor Naji if he would make a slight amendment. I understand there's a process, but just to add that we undertake community consultation and investigate the feasibility. As I am a local Ward 3 resident, I'm very close to the park, and as an elected councillor, I campaigned on community consultation and transparency. So I really believe council should consult then joining residents on the benefits of upgrading the facilities prior to any decisions or approvals being made. And if Councillor Naji can add that fine amendment.
Councillor Naji.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, correct me through you, Mr. Mayor, to the GM. If the lighting was going to go ahead, of course, there's a process. Is that correct? There's a scope of design, and of course, we go out to community consultation. Would that be correct? The process?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. There's quite an extensive process of consultation with the community, particularly given that is the park is a heritage item. We'd be required to get a DA and do the usual consultations required for a development assessment.
Thank you. So thank you, Councillor Saravinovsky, for bringing this to our attention. So community consultation is a must. So I'll just wait for my right-off reply in case someone else thinks. So when I have my right-off reply, if I can scroll up to the foreshadowed motion. Thank
you. Councillor Disco.
Firstly, I just want to acknowledge all the volunteers that spend a lot of their time in the cold, especially in this period, helping our youth. As we can see from what was discussed earlier today, the youth really needs an outlet, and I understand that this community group, this football club, is assisting with that. Not only that, more than half of Australians are obese or overweight. So we should be really addressing the immediate need, which is the lighting issue, to also address flow-on effects of Australia's health. And also this is in line with the Safer Communities Her Way program, which is there to assist especially women be part of a safer community, and the lighting, as was discussed earlier, would assist with that safety, any safety concerns. Thank you.
You, Councillor Disco. Any further speakers? Councillor Curry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a few moving parts here. Just want to acknowledge the speakers and your contributions as volunteers. Councillor Douglas, I see where your foreshadowed motion is coming from, and I think that's some other work that you've been advocating for, and not to disvalue it, it is important work, but I feel like it's confused with a motion that needs to be considered here, because the feasibility work has already been raised by a committee. I think with anything that in relation to this, regardless, it can be investigated in its scope and all the facets of it. It is a heritage park. There's a number of concerns. So there's no reason I believe that a report can't come back to council, to committee in the first instance, and that provides options or considerations, which should be the first step for council then to consider that at committee level before coming to council, which is the first step before what will be a necessary community consultation.
Councillor Curry, any further speakers? Councillor Councillor Kassim.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, just further to that, listening to everyone's very, very good points and interesting information. One of the things which I wasn't aware of was what's been stated by our guests and Councillor Wada about the prospect of this actually reducing light spillage, which I hadn't heard earlier. And I think, and I'm wondering if that could actually be added in there. So, you know, in terms of, you know, investigating ways to reduce light spillage and impacts on local residents via upgrades to lighting in Gardiner Park. Because I think that's a major, I understand that's a major concern for local residents, of course it is. And so if that can be achieved, it does sound like maybe safety concerns can be met while reducing light spillage. Sounds like potentially a win-win, but if that could be included, that would be great. And then, you know, consulted with, etc. once we know that information.
Fine, Councillor Naji. To add that we report back on.
Councillor
I think
Naji,
maybe-
if you're okay too, if we can add that a report comes back to committee because it's not clear.
I think it's tight. It needs to. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Naji.
Okay, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'll try and be as quickly as I can, but it's hard. I just want to acknowledge everyone here, the intent, but obviously experienced councillors know the process, and thank you, Councillor Curry. If this to pass, then there's not only design and that, there's community consultation, plus it will have to come back to the committee, and from the committee to make a decision, then it comes back to council for final approval. Okay, just with respect with Councillor Strong, and I appreciate what he's trying to do, but he mentioned that, I want to touch on that he has a child or one or two that play soccer, and again, I would like to know how he would feel if it was unsafe to be training on a field, regardless whether it's Gardiner Park or any other field. So the safety of our children is paramount. As for Councillor, Braden Hoff, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an expert. All you need is to go for a visit while there's training and see how poor the lights are, how poorly it's lit, and how it compromises safety. And if she does that, just to be safe and make sure she doesn't trip over or fall. That's how poor the lighting is at Gardiner Park. If we go to the foreshadow motion, if you can scroll it up, so I just want to tackle a few points over there and not being disrespectful, with all great respect to Councillor Douglas.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor, we'll put you up on a point of order. We're not debating the foreshadowed motion.
Yeah, no, but I'd rather
I'm sure councillors can vote on your...
But I just want to say that...
Clearly debating.
No, I'm not debating, but that foreshadow motion, which we're not debating, but it's asking for another report. Mr Mayor, we went through Riverine. Us councillors went through the process of Riverine. And guess what? Rugby League, St George was going to be part of the process, and Arncliffe Aurora was one of the clubs that are investing not council's money, over 2 to 3 million when it's completed. Plus, on top of that, the 1 million grant that they had from the federal government. I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but when it's mentioned that we should move the lighting to Riverine and it could be used to enhance, well, let me tell you, from the research that we had, the studies that we had when Riverine was up and going, that Riverine Park, it will be hard to do lights due to obstacle limitation surfaces. It's called the OLS, and that's what it stands for. Obstacle limitation surfaces. If council has a design for Riverine, we will submit it, but it will not comply, Mr. Mayor, it will not comply. The obstacle limitation surfaces at an airport defines the airspace around the airport that must be kept free of obstacles and lights to ensure safe takeoff and landing procedures for aircraft. So the OLS is determined by international specification and the Civil Aviation CASA, the Civil Aviation Authority. But here we are, we're trying to say, let's go to Riverine and see if we can do lighting there. So, Mr. Mayor and councillors, we don't need another study or wasting our staff time to know that this foreshadowed motion will get us nowhere. We also know that lights being upgraded as stated earlier at Memorial Park, Bicentennial Park, Arncliffe Park, Scarborough Park, Ador Avenue, J. Graham and Borreley, and guess what? These parks are surrounded by residents. And we go through the process. And the process is make sure there's no impact on the community. And Councillor Curry is right. We will go through that process, let it get to the committee and let the committee make this decision. How could we identify that there is a safety issue with our sporting club or sporting fields and that, and us councillors, we don't do nothing about it? I thought we are voted in for the benefit of the community.
15 seconds, Councillor.
Okay, 15 seconds, so I'll just cut it short. I need you to support these grassroots clubs, regardless whether it's soccer, rugby league, anyone that has these issues. We bring it to council, we act on it, and we deliver.
Thank you. Councillors, all those in favour?
Aye.
All those against?
Can we have a division?
Declare that
please,
carried. Division has been called. Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boutilay. Councillor Strong. Councillor Kasim. Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Sarabanovsky. Councillor Naji. Councillor Discu. Councillor Awada. Councillor Barlow. What's that, sorry? Councillor Poulos. Councillor Douglas. And myself for. Declare that carried. All right, we move to item 13.14, and we'll note the state of origin has started. We'll get more aggressive about
Can we take a break to watch it? Or
enforcing speaking limits, please, councillors. We've got a long agenda. Invite Mr Hassan Chebley from the Banksia Tigers up speaking in favour of the motion, public guideline for all sporting club sponsorship arrangements. Mr Chebley.
Here we go again. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak twice in one night. I'm here again tonight to request Bayside Council support for allowing community football clubs to display sponsor banners at their home grounds for the duration of the soccer season, specifically from start of April till the first week of September. Sponsorship is essential to the survival of grassroots clubs like ours at Banksia Tigers. With over 900 members and volunteers, and 80% of players aged 5 to 18, and 30% of them are females, our sponsors help us cover vital costs, uniforms, equipment, referees, and subsidies for families who are doing it tough So we do register a lot of kids, especially with single mothers that have 2 or 3 kids. We do support, we provide financial support, and that financial support comes ideally from sponsors. Free registrations, free uniforms, free off-field apparels. In return, these sponsors ask for basic, respectful visibility, typically in the form of fence banners at our home ground. So we're Gardiner Park. However, the current expectations that banners must be put up and taken down every weekend is simply not sustainable. Clubs like ours rely on volunteers, and these volunteers are already stretched managing match days, coaching and administration. We are asking Council to allow sponsors' banners to be erected for full duration of the football season, which is beginning of April to September, mounted on fences no higher than 1.2 metres, which is your normal fence around the park, ensuring visibility is limited to players and spectators within the field area, professionally presented and securely installed with no impact on community, safety, shared space or visual amenity, and removed immediately at the end of the football season. This is a practical, balanced solution that supports community sports, promotes local businesses, and reduces pressure on already overworked volunteers. By supporting this proposal, Council would be enabling clubs to maintain a strong relationship, a local partnership, stay financially sustainable, and continue delivering inclusive sport to the families of Bayside. Thank you for your time and for your continued support for grassroots sports.
Thank you, Mr. Chebley. Go on, Mr. Yazbek from the Bexley North Football Club. Thank you, Mr. Yazbek.
Speaking around the notice, around the banner for sponsorships. My name is Edward Yazbek. I'm the president of Bexley North Football Club. We're a local grassroots club with over 1,500 members in our club, with approximately 700 plus players, predominantly in the under 5s to under 18s age group, of which about 33% are female. Our club is completely run by volunteers and is dependent on the wider support from the local community, such as parents, coaches, managers, and of course local business. Without any one of these contributors, most clubs are unlikely to exist. In relation to the banners, signage, such as on the fence line, buildings, they provide a key source of funding that supports the club and allows us to function and undertake some of the following activities. We offer development programs, training free of cost, no charge, to players. We offer goalkeeper training. We have a girls program. We do coach to coaches. We also procure additional apparel for our players. In addition to, jerseys, short socks, we offer beanies, hoodies, bags, jackets, typically at no cost. This year we gave all the players a home and away and a training jersey. The money we also get from sponsorship contributes towards the general maintenance and upkeep of the home ground, including cleaning the toilets, stocking them, line marking, ground maintenance and other services. It also allows us to provide financial assistance to families seeking or experiencing financial hardship. This could be a siblings discount, this could be a subsidised registration fee, or in some cases, free registration for those parents and kids that can't afford it. We want to remove any financial barrier that stops kids from playing. In order to do that, we need sponsorship, and these are sponsors from the local community. We're not talking about sponsors like CBA, Emirates, Etihad Airways. We're talking about the local butcher, the local baker, mum and dad businesses that are associated with the club. The other thing we use funding for is to improve the council assets. We're proud that we recently got a new block at our home ground, and with the support of our sponsors, we were able to extend concrete pathway, put seating in, and we're now in the process of getting CCTV and some other works around the change room upgrades. This is all funded by the club through our sponsors.
Thank you, Mr Yazbek. Please wind up.
Thank you. We ask Council to adopt a reasonable approach. Our grading starts in February and our season ends in September. It's not feasible to take the banners down week in, week out. Our volunteers are stretched. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr Yazbek. Mr Andrews, the Rockdale City Raiders Football Club.
Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. My name is Marcus Andrews. I'm the president of the Rockdale City Raiders Soccer Club. Our home ground's at J. Graham, just on Bay Street. As my colleagues and my friends and presidents have said, our club is stretched with volunteers. Our volunteers help set up our fields from 6:30 a.m. and don't finish till 9 p.m. To be expected to put up the banners and then bring them down daily is simply not possible. The sponsorship funds that we get from these businesses help us to maintain our club gear, our equipment, our goals, repairs, maintenance, and also helps us to support our kids. Without these sponsorship, we would have to raise the registration fees for all our kids and our parents, which is not feasible. So we are in support of the motion. It's simply a temporary measure. The signage is only displayed between March and September during the soccer season and brought down. We have a lot of banners up there that help support our local businesses, and it's simply an acknowledgement and thanks to their support. Thank you very much for hearing. Thank you. I'm in support of the motion.
Thank you, Mr Andrews. Do we have Mr Brownbill here? No, still no. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved, Councillor Naji. Seconded, Councillor Awada.
Mr Mayor, first I've got to give you an undertaking that I have not lined up the speakers and didn't even know till I saw on our website that they are going to speak, and I thank them for it because that indicates how important sponsorship is. Mr Mayor, this motion that I brought up, this motion requests Council to develop a public guideline for how sporting clubs can display sponsor signage on council assets. Our clubs pay council fees. They help manage our fields. Sponsorships are critical for local club sustainability, but we need clarity and consistency. A public policy will help clubs know what is allowed and what is allowed and streamline approvals. It also proposes an understanding between clubs and the council on what they are able to undertake during seasonal banner display at each club designated location within reason. Our clubs lobby state and federal governments for money to upgrade our fields. They do a lot for council and make things a little easier. It's only fair that they have a guideline in return for their sponsorship, as they need the income. No business will sponsor a club or organisation if they have no idea on what the sponsorship can or can't entail. At present, we have no guidelines. This guidelines is for all codes of sport, not only soccer, we call it football, but it's for all codes of sport throughout summer and winter seasons. This promotes local business partnership while ensuring appropriate use of council lands. I encourage my fellow councillors to support this sensible and transparent approach. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Naji. Councillors, further discussion? Councillor Barlow.
Just make a comment. It's got all sporting clubs within reason to display sponsorship banners at the designated club locations year round. So that's not just the football or soccer. So basically, as you read that, you think that they can have it there all year. So it must be seasonal. Maybe you make it as a seasonal thing, so that the year round would concern a lot of people, believing that there's capability in there all year. So that's what I'm just saying. The wording should be maybe changed to seasonal.
Councillors Naji and Awada. Should say seasonal instead of year-round.
Mr Mayor, year-round is meant to be seasonal, and one of the speakers said, you know, the season starts in February, finishes in September, so that's what I meant by year-round, but yeah, you can have it as seasonal. Thank you, Councillor Barton.
Okay, Councillor Morrissey.
Is it just through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Nagy, is it the intention that that council officers, there we go, it was clashing, develop and then come to the committee and come back so we understand? Because if we develop and publish without any further input from councillors, it may not meet the requirements. So is it develop and bring to the relevant committee for review and follow that process?
Thank you, Councillor Morrissey. You're an experienced councillor and you know that it's true. It will go, they'll come back with the policy, it will go to the committee, then it comes back to council to be adopted.
That should probably be made clear.
Just amend that before publishing. Thank you. Just for transparency, that's all.
Could there be a mention that it's sensitive to heritage aspects of the park, like really high on a fence where the tree line is maybe not so good, but around the pitch is fine, but just to be sensitive.
I assume staff will take that into account when they're developing the guideline.
Yeah.
So I think it should just say develops and for committee's consideration. We're not deciding to publish something tonight. Yeah. All right. As much as I'm sure the officers would like to develop things and then just publish them. Yep. All right, thank you, councillors. Further discussion? Councillor Douglas.
I think the year-round thing really threw me because to me that reads as all year round. And to put that as a benchmark against other advertising that we get asked to consider at council, if it's on a public asset and there's private advertising on a public asset, the council gets the revenue for that. And so if it was to be there year-round, I would expect that the council would get the revenue and maybe that can enable us to reduce fees for fields or whatnot. But I think it would be a big anomaly as it currently stands for it to have a year-round advertising that doesn't go back to council. And I think that we would then have to come up against community consultation on that as well, because there is concerns around the commercialisation of public spaces as well. So a lot of people go to these parks because they are mixed-use parks. They're not just for soccer fields, they're also for dog walkers, they're for kite flyers, they're for kids on scooters, they're for, these are very mixed-use spaces, that's the intention. And so we don't want just the commercialisation to be dominating that place, which is a recreational space that people go for reflection and renewal as well. So could we just please take the year-round out of this altogether?
I think we've said what that means is seasonal, and I think it should just say seasonal. I should probably say on a seasonal basis. There we go. All right, thank you, councillors. Any further discussion? No, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Thank you to all the speakers tonight. So the motion was passed as amended to allow for seasonal use, and that will come back to a council committee in future. Thank you. Moving to council reports. Item CPE 25.011 is a division due to it being a planning matter. Proposal to introduce an additional permitted use to 1 Highworth Avenue, Bexley, for the existing McDonald's restaurant. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Morrissey, seconded Councillor Curry. Sorry, we'll need to go back to that as well. Councillors, any discussion? The McDonald's at Bexley. It's a planning matter to introduce an additional permitted use to 1 Highworth Avenue, Bexley.
What's that mixed up with the...
There we go. I was showing the wrong thing. Councillors, any discussion? Any questions? No. Councillors, it's by way of division. Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boudelet. Councillor Strong. Councillor Kasim. Councillor Bredhoft. Councillor Saravinovsky. Councillor Nagy. Councillor Dusku. Councillor Awada, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Poulos, Councillor Douglas.
I didn't see the correspondence, so I'm just going to abstain.
Thank you. And myself for. Declare it carried. Councillors, sorry, we need to nominate some councillors for the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly, item 11.1. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Bezic. Councillors, we need some nominees to attend the conference. Councillors, would anyone like to attend? It would perhaps be good if we circulate something to councillors, and councillors who wish to nominate to attend can attend, as and when required. Any further discussion, councillors? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item CPE 25.012 is another planning matter. Planning proposal to reclassify community land as operational land at 5A at Waldron Street, Sandringham. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Morrissey, seconded Councillor Bezic. Is there any discussion, councillors? It's by way of division. Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boudelet. They'll be able to figure it out. Councillor Strong. Councillor Kasim. Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Savranovsky. Councillor Naji. Councillor Disco. Councillor Awada. Councillor Barlow. Councillor Poulos. Councillor Douglas. And myself for. Declare that carried unanimously. Item CPE 25.013, development of draft Rockdale Centre master plan. Councillor Savranovsky's absenting himself for this item. Yeah, we'll need to go into confidential session if we want to discuss it. Just noting, we'll need to go into confidential session if any councillor wishes to discuss this item. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Kasim. Councillors, any discussion? And I think we've all been thoroughly briefed on this. Right. All those in favour? All those against? I don't think this is by way of division, is it? No. Declare that carried. Do we want to invite Councillor Savranovsky back in?
This is a question. How do you get the access to the I couldn't get the confidential item.
Have you gone through Big Tin Can?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, I think it has its own folder.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Thank you, Councillor. Welcome back, Councillor Savranovsky. Item CWA 25.017, the Major General William Holmes Drive Memorial. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Poulos, seconded Councillor Douglas.
I'm just requesting that I move for this item to be deferred. It was discussed in the committee meeting for the reason it was agreed in the committee meeting that a revised plan based on feedback be brought back to discuss for the consideration of the site to incorporate the following: seating, shade, trees, signage, turf and grass, a footprint to be expanded for the whole corner.
I think it doesn't need to be deferred. You just want that to be added to the costing recommendation. Is that right?
Well, no, I had requested for it to be deferred for further consideration, for it to come back to the committee for further discussion.
Councillors, further discussion? No. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Item CS25.010, negotiation of new licence for Rockdale Illan Football Club to use council-owned facilities. Do we have any? Councillor Savranovsky is absenting himself. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Disco, seconded Councillor Bezic. Councillors, any discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. I invite Councillor Savranovsky back in. A procedural motion to defer. I assume you want to talk about the item CS 25.013. I'd defer that to the end with other confidential items. Move Councillor Strong, seconded Councillor Boudelet. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item CP 25.017, tender update, demolition of Bexley Bowling Club. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Barlow, seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Barlow.
Just that in discussion with the paper, in the papers, there was a choice on the boundary fence, and I'd like to move that in the recommendation that the fence that the two adjoining residents have is made in brick, because most of their fence is brick. They've got to remove the garages. And in the report, it says either or, and we had to make the decision. So I'd like to move it in that recommendation that the adjoining fence is brick, continuation of their brick fence.
Councillors, any further discussion?
So I don't know where you're going to put it in there, but brick dividing fences. The dividing fences are made of brick, and hopefully they can recycle some of the product. I mean, it's sad that we've had to lose that building because of the disgraceful way of the people that had the lease did not look after the building. I don't know if there's anything left there of value that is historical, but I actually, hopefully, General Manager might know whether we've been there and looked at all the, if there's any items of interest that should be rescued for the local history. Or I thought maybe someone had gone in and done all that. Would General Manager know? Or?
Through the chair, I think we can add another point to the recommendation here that notes that that the tender include the construction of the fence in brick, and that be a separable portion if required.
I read it, they did quote either these, yes, so would have to be the one with the brick fence. Okay.
Point there, we can note that that's going to be brick.
And is there anything left in the building that is worth saving, or has it all been removed? As in, there was boards, local boards and paperwork, books.
I'd have to check what's still there. I know that there has been assessments done, and there's certainly a desire for as much of the materials to be recycled as possible, but things that were owned by the club, I think our local studies librarians have had a look to see if they at least photograph those historical records.
There was a lot of honour boards there and things from a lot of history, so it's just a shame that we've lost this building, but...
Councillor Barlow, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item CP 25.021, for which I'm absenting myself. Councillor Douglas.
Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, for this motion? Councillor Curry and Councillor Brederhoft. Is there any discussion on the item?
Yeah, I just wanted to just ask for a consideration for the Home Office expenses. Can I suggest that the allocation that's actually been noted be increased to $200, not $100? I'm on several committees and I do quite a bit of printing because I like, as you can see, notes to be made. The cost of toner and paper is significantly more than the amount that's actually allocated, so I just want to see if there was any chance that we could consider increasing it from $100 to $200.
You can certainly do that if you wish to.
Do we have any further discussion on that matter, or councillors happy to accept that proposed amendment?
Make a comment. I believe it's just going on exhibition so that anyone can put in submissions at any time in the next 28 days.
Sorry, through the chair. So council has the choice of either making the amendment now and putting it out on exhibition with that amendment, or changing it when it comes back off exhibition. But you can certainly change that tonight if you wish to. Yep.
So what I'm hearing from the floor is that we have an acceptance from the mover and the seconder to add it into the motion as it stands, and we will pass that. So all those in favour say aye. All those against, nay. I declare that carried, and we can welcome the Mayor back.
What, sorry?
Yes, slash your allowance to nothing.
It's all right.
You're on a big push bike.
It's a good idea. Thank you, councillors. Items 25.0, AREC 25.015 to 017. I assume you want to discuss the items in the confidential papers. So I have a procedural motion from Councillor Poulos, seconded Councillor Barlow, to defer those to the end of the meeting, considering confidential session. Councillors, we now move to notices of motion, I believe. Haven't missed anything. Speak now, forever hold your peace. For notice of motion, obviously, councillors, we have 20 notices of motion tonight. Appreciate keeping any opening remarks limited, potentially nil, and just reply. Item 13.1, investigation into dual naming of Gardiner Park. Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Douglas.
I just want to bring this motion, particularly this week, as it is Reconciliation Week, and I'd love to see more co-naming in our community. Unfortunately, I've seen in our community a lot of racism still and misunderstanding about our Indigenous heritage and community presently. And I think it's really important as a site of first contact, of first resistance, and of reconciliation that we acknowledge our Aboriginal connections. Elders have taught me in my life that we need to come the right way onto country, and to respect those elders, that means understanding that country that we live on. That's why we're starting to use the name Kamay so much, which is the original name for Botany Bay. And I'd love for this park, which is such a great facility, to, if possible, honour both histories, both our first Prime Minister, Mr Barton, but also if there is a local name for the area, I'd love to know it. I live nearby, I'd love to be able to have that understanding. So the process for this is that it would go to consultation with local Indigenous community members to determine if there is an appropriate name to ensure that it's used respectfully and accurately. We may find out there is no appropriate name, and so be it. We've tried, we've done the investigation. So I'd love for our council to support this and for us to be a bit louder and prouder about our First Nations community, past, present and future.
Thank you, councillor. Any further discussion? No, councillors, all those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.2, investigation of lighting at West Botany Street Skate Park, Rockdale. Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Douglas.
Thank you. Look, I've been trying to push this uphill for about the last 3 years, and I think, like other lighting issues that have come, it sort of resurfaces every winter when people suddenly can't use the facilities that we've provided. And recently I got contacted by a number of people, including a mother who had her child in a Bayside Council skate park lesson that had to wrap up before 5 o'clock because the facilities are not lit, whereas there was Ador Park right next door blaring with lights, and they felt like there was a real lean towards some facilities being supported and not to those other recreational facilities for people who might not be into soccer. So kids need somewhere to go after school. People who work need somewhere to go after school. It's people of all ages who use this facility. And we're really blessed with very mild winters, yet still it gets very dark very early. So how do we keep active? We need to provide for those other passive recreational users. So I've actually changed the motion after further consultation with the General Manager and with the Mayor to really just focus on a consultation piece first, to make sure that the surrounding homes feel comfortable with this, that they get a chance to have some input into how late that lighting might go till if it just mirrors what's happening at Adar Reserve, and to make sure that it wouldn't feel disruptive. So it wouldn't be any investment from council at this stage. It's an investigation, a community consultation piece before we would move on to seeking grants if we were to potentially light the site.
Councillor Douglas, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.3, notice of motion, accessibility alignment of council's events program to the Disability Inclusion Action Plan 2022 to 2026. Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Douglas.
So this motion has been cooking up for a while because I've had repeated engagements from locals about not having the right information advertised, or not having any information advertised around accessibility or options for access to numerous events like our amazing Carols by the Sea. I've gone and made the effort to talk to staff through the directors around trying to change those things as those events have happened, but really I feel like from speaking to members of our community with accessibility needs that we need to have a more comprehensive checklist basically for events that puts us in line with what is the expectation of the needs of our community. So this motion calls for us to make sure while we're organising these events that we apply an accessibility checklist or framework to the event planning and operations that considers physical access, sensory needs, communication support and inclusive signage and material.
Councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Barlow.
Just a comment, it was part 4. I think 3 months is too short, it should have been 6 months. We're putting so much work, actually so much onto our staff with all these, just the notices of motion alone, and I would like that any interested council is given the Disability Inclusion Action Plan. So this is already there. So we're now getting further, but I believe that should be, if the mover of the motion is happy, that at least give the staff some time. They've got their own work to do without all the stuff that we are throwing at them. So within a 6-month time, and any interested councils ask for the Disability Inclusion Plan so that they can read it. So it's there. I didn't realise in this committee, you know, the General Manager's comment, one of the actions would involve engaging the DIAP working group more proactively. So it's all there, it's just a matter of changing it a little bit, and hopefully the mover of the motion will accept 6 months so that we're not forcing the staff to drop other things to do one report.
Councillor Douglas.
Look, I think that's fine. I'd like for it to be within 6 months or as soon as possible, just so that we are opening the door for those people with accessibility needs. I mean, I think the Disability Inclusion Action Plan is on the website, along with all of our policies for councillors to review at any stage. And in fact, that's a 2022 to 2026 action plan. So we're actually getting towards the end of it. It might be time for us to make sure that we're delivering on all the things we've promised, to review that policy and step up to the next level with it as well.
Right, thank you, Councillor Douglas. Any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.4, and I note we do have a number of motions. I'm sure interested councillors attending the Waste Conference came up with lots of good ideas, but we have a number of motions about circular economy actions this evening. Item 13.4, investigating a Bayside circular economy hub. Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Brederhoft.
Thank you. I think everybody likes a bargain, and we all like old stuff and stuff that you can pick up that still works, and you say, hey, they don't make it like that anymore. So this motion is really about more than recycling. It's about reuse and repair. So it's about a place where people can go to leave things to be reused and repaired. So it's also about jobs and about cost of living. New South Wales is still really heavily reliant on landfill, but the landfill option might not be there in the very near future, as we're on track to run out of landfill space by 2030. So we need to scope for more actions, and at the moment we have 22 drop-offs with an average of 154 people each, but that still only adds up to just under 3,500 people who are using our recycling drop-offs. So we do need to scale up what we're doing in terms of reuse and
repair in our community. I lived quite close to the tip shop in Hobart, which employs 36 people full-time, and many of them were friends of mine. They're very resourceful types who don't mind getting their hands dirty, and they saw the beauty in second-hand things, the old, the treasure in the trash. And so my actual home in Hobart was fitted out with things from that tip shop, and when I left, I took things back to the tip shop knowing that they would be reused again. So there's a whole mini cashless economy that can happen as well with these things. We already have that in our local area. Whenever we have hard rubbish or street drop-offs, I'm sure you've seen people doing curbside shopping, or some people call it street Christmas, where they go around and pick up things off the street. But not everything gets grabbed, lots gets missed or put back into the trucks that morning and gets crushed and creates landfill. So having a circular economy hub permanently in Bayside would allow a place where people can go any day of the week to pick up second-hand goods really cheaply and reuse those and save them from landfill. So I think this is also about us future-proofing for the next jobs in Bayside as well. My 14-year-old son recently said to me, so what are the jobs that I'll be able to look forward to? And when I did some research with him, they are jobs around things like resource management, sustainable transportation, renewable energy. These are the jobs of the future as we deal with climate action and having a climate action economy. So I think it's really important that we get moving with this sort of resilient, resourceful Bayside, and this is one option. I think there's a lot of great motions on the floor today to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. Councillors for Councillor Strong.
I knew this was coming up today, so I went down to Replace at the Inner West Sustainability Hub today, and it's a fantastic vibe. I bought a $10 Hawaiian shirt. You could get kilogram money for bringing in good clothes, or you could pay for things that are just rags. But it's a great community there. There's electronic stuff. So I think the Community Sustainability Hub is a great idea, and I was telling them about it, and they said they'd help if we need any ideas or anything and come and assist getting one happening in Bayside.
Councillor Barlow.
Just want to move a foreshadowed motion that at the first point, without going through all this, that the General Manager strongly advised that we actually have a presentation on our waste services. We would have one of the best waste service recycling anywhere, and if anyone hasn't been to the weekend, what you can drop off, I meant to bring the calendar but I forgot. You can even return 2 tyres. I've returned I think 12 gas bottles at one stage. I had all my late husband's x-rays went there. There is so much stuff that you can recycle, and if you want a hub, where are you going to put it? We don't have spare land. We don't have spare buildings. So the idea is that I think in the first place that everyone that's new is given a wonderful presentation by our waste manager to know exactly what we do. And I mean, you've got to, the people are amazed how much stuff is allowed to be collected on the first and the third Saturday of the month, plus the 22 collections a year. And I feel that we don't, okay, you've got to have something fixed. We are not Inner West. We do not have a building. I know the Bower has just moved premises into a bigger premises, but it's very nice to think we can do that, but where are you going to put it? We've got to find a building. We've got to pay for it. So to me, at the moment, I feel everyone here that really needs to understand how good our waste system is and and they also take clothing, they take hard plastic, which we now make money on because it's all crumpled up and then we sell it. So there is so much there that people most probably do not know about that I feel that would be the first step, then go from there, and then I don't know where you're going to find a building. But anyway, all I'm saying is hopefully that foreshadowed motion is that in the first place you actually get to see exactly what we actually return.
So, councillors, can I suggest that given we've got 3 motions all trying to achieve the same thing, and I know that SS Rock is also doing some work on this, that we bring all of these things back together in an options paper to a committee and I'm sure council staff will, our manager of waste services, I'm sure can tell us all of this tonight, but maybe save that for a committee meeting, could run through the services we currently provide, and particularly the outstanding work being done at our drop-off events every couple of weeks.
In fairness to the waste, so how many, which one?
Well, I think that's item 10 point, or 13.4 rather, what we're considering now, and then if they're passed as well, item 13.9 and 13.10. Happy with that? Councillor Douglas?
Yeah, look, I'm happy with that. I think if we can bring back an options paper that talks to those three motions as well and considers those as the future options for next steps. I don't want to undermine what council's already doing. I know we're, you know, heavily awarded for what we've been doing, but given the impending waste crisis, we are being asked by SS Rock to consider all options and do more. And just to your point in reply, Councillor Barlow, my understanding is we need to find an industrial area where we can potentially buy a building, and then the EPA will actually fund, the Environment Protection Authority will fund the establishment of this facility. So there is money out there, and at the moment we're missing out on that money. So somewhere like Rockdale, where the industrial precinct is, you know, would be a fantastic local central hub. But thank you, I'm happy to take that suggestion from the Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Douglas. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried.
Sorry, we've got three things up there.
We've got the motion, which should have had the bit that's down at the end as part of the motion, not the foreshadowed motion. There we go. Problem solved. For the motion as put with the amendment. All right, councillors, just once again, all those in favour? Aye. All those against? No. Declare that carried. Can we record Councillor Barlow's name as voting against the motion? Item 13.5, customer service. Move Councillor Curry, move Councillor Morrissey, second Councillor Curry. Councillors, any discussion?
Look, I'll take it as read. There's quite a lot on there, but it was just the point of the motion is to move to ensure that the customer experience, our customers are our residents, our community, are treated with respect and speed and quality and all the things that provides a great customer experience from any services provider. This motion seeks to have that, I suppose, permeated through the whole of council to make sure that, our customers, our residents get everything they deserve. I'll take it as read because it is quite lengthy, but reserve for right reply in need.
Thank you, Councillor Morrissey. Any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.6, e-bike regulation. Move Councillor Boudelet. Seconded Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boudelet.
This just builds on some of the work that other councils are looking at, including Waverley. And so this is really about learning from other councils. There is no general regulation when it comes to e-bikes in councils, and this just recognises some of the concerns from the community around dumping of e-bikes, graffiti on e-bikes. I like e-bikes, I've used them in the past, they're quite good, quite expensive, but I think this is just appreciating there's a bit of work here and shared responsibility between council and the major e-bike providers. So this is just to ask council to go out there and talk to some of those councils that are doing this work and try and understand where we can try and improve those outcomes for the community. Thank you.
Thanks, councillors. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Sorry, Councillor Douglas.
I have a question. So just to be clear, so what this motion is addressing is shared e-bike services, not e-bikes in general, because when you say permissible bike numbers within the LGA, we're not going to be cracking down on mums and dads who... Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you.
Shared services operators. All right, thank you. All in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Item 13.7, council-wide app. Move Councillor Boudelet. Seconded Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boudelet.
Oh, just super quick. This might be less work for council. There are currently 2 council apps. There's a waste one and a library one. I think it's probably about time we think of having a council-wide app. It means we can communicate to the community hopefully much easier. We can send messages out, consultation. Hopefully there can be some other services on there. And so this is really just investigating whether we should have a consolidated council app. I know it would make a lot of things easier, like, you know, residents, you know, looking at certain issues, and they can put that through the council app. And I think this would hopefully streamline a lot of comms and information. And as I said, there already are 2 apps which Bayside run, and this is looking at a consolidated one. So I'd appreciate your support for that. Thank you.
Councillor Boulay, further discussion. Councillor Curry.
Thank you. I appreciate the intent of good communication, and I want to acknowledge that our website is really effective at the moment. I think we're moving into an age now where apps are becoming outdated. Personally, people don't download apps anymore. They want to go straight onto a site that has a chat bot that can pull information immediately. You know, I would like to see council resources invested into a chatbot on our website. You open it, you put in exactly what you need, and it will pull whatever information you need. You're not asking a resident to download another app. You're not trying to find it on your phone because you've got so much. You can just go directly to, that is the way people are moving now, where, and then you have inconsistencies. Sometimes things aren't upgraded on an app, and then so we've got to have a system that speaks as one. So I'm not supporting this because I would rather see it as an improved website with a chatbot. I think we've got to go digital. We are behind. So that I'd rather council invest money, time and energy into getting us into the digital age of AI, to be fair.
Councillor Curry, further discussion? No. Councillor Boulay, right of reply.
I think I would just point to, you know, I'm sure my boss would be proud of me saying the Service New South Wales app, a lot of people use that. It's a very effective tool. You know, I think the intent of this is to find a better way to communicate. If it's looking at other digital tools, whether it's chatbots or the website, a lot of people on their mobile phones probably right now, and are probably in apps right now using, you know, these kind of communication tools. So we already have these apps. Maybe it's worth looking at whether they're utilised. I think it's worth looking at either this or improving how we communicate, because if it's through the website, how many people visit the website through their phone? Would that be easier through an app? You can imagine getting things like data collection, responses to consultation would just be so much easier on an app rather than emailing in or whatever. So I want to stick with the motion because I think it is a worthwhile one. And as I said, people are on the apps now and communicating, so I don't think it is an obstacle. It'll enhance our engagement with people. Thank you.
Councillor Boulay, all those in favour? All those against? I declare the motion lost. Division has been called. Call off a division. Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boulay. Councillor Strong. Councillor Kassim. Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Sarabanovsky. Councillor Naji. Councillor Dusku. Councillor Awada. Councillor Barlow. Councillor Poulos. Councillor Douglas. And myself against. Declare the motion carried. Is that right? Declare the motion carried. Item 13.8, maintenance and presentation of hoardings on development sites. Move Councillor Morrissey, seconded Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey.
This relates to all development across the LGA where we have developers who put hoardings up on buildings and they stay there for months and months and months. That leaves it open to graffiti, to posters, to damage, to vandalism, etc. And I'm sure you'll agree that in areas where these developments are taking place, it certainly detracts from the area. and represents a lack of care for our community. So this is seeking during the planning stage and development consent, construction consent stage, that a condition of consent be placed that if they are putting hoardings up, they actually maintain them, and to deter graffiti and vandalism, and potentially to encourage them to put some murals or public art. I'm not suggesting that's compulsory, but if they're up there and they're all painted black and that's like a blank wall for graffiti, they need to be able to paint that over and keep things looking good in our community. The suggestion around local art, even if it is some sort of graffiti type art or graffiti mural, will support local people, but that stops further graffiti for that period. With the uncertain economic environment right now, some of these hoardings are there for years and years, and then buildings get sold and developments get sold to other developers. There's one on Botany Road at the moment hoarding's been up for about 18 months, and I think it's gone through 3 different developers, and it's still a hole in the ground with a black graffiti-filled hoarding on the front. So hopefully that's people can see the benefit in adding that as a condition of consent. I note the General Manager's comment that retrospective approval is not possible, and I understand that. If there's a pathway, great. If not, so be it. But from this point, I think this will help our local amenity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morrissey. Councillors, any further discussion? Councillor Boudeleau.
Oh, just very quickly, I think we saw an example around Mascot Towers where we had hoarding for months and months, and it was covered in graffiti, and finally we've got black hoarding. But yeah, we've seen other councils, like nearby councils like City of Sydney, you've got Indigenous art around development sites, and it's quite pleasant to go through and look at it. And the hoardings, as Councillor Morrissey has set up for months and months. So I think this is a very good motion. So yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Boudeleau. Any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.9, council procurement supporting local circular economy. Moved Councillor Kassim, seconded. I think we said we'd incorporate things. We probably need to wrong procedural motion, but
yeah. So I'm just rising really in the first instance to recognise the amazing staff team we have in Waste. Several councillors did go last week to the Waste conference, and it was a pleasure to really find out just what an excellent team we have, highly experienced, dedicated, passionate, and innovative. And so this motion is really in the spirit of the work which is already being done, but just taking it one step further. We all, I'm sure, want to reduce waste. Nobody wants to, keep filling landfills, and we all want a better environment. But ultimately, we're only going to fix this if we can actually utilise more of the waste. And what's going to drive that is making money out of it. So, we are a huge source of procurement as a local government. And so this motion is really about utilising our place as the major procurer in this LGA to drive the circular economy. There are several things which are being developed which are up there to assist that, and this is really about utilising those and any others which I'm sure that, as I say, the Waste staff may know. Of course, they know a lot more about this, but to encourage them to do that. And as I say, in the process, to hopefully also encourage our local businesses to get involved in this, and even potentially council, because I know that there are many innovations in this space which will help drive this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kassim. Any further discussion, councillors? Councillor Barlow.
Just a question. All these major opportunities are tendered, so wouldn't we have to have that included in the tender? It wouldn't, and then the costs might go up. That's what I'm just saying is, yes, we're going to upgrade all these things, but they've gone out to a tender process. So you've got to then specify something else and possibly the tender will come in a lot higher. That's all. Just a comment. I don't know exactly.
I think that's why we're coming back with an options paper, and we'll look at what the most efficient way to reduce waste is and divert stuff from landfill. Councillor Douglas.
Just briefly, I wanted to commend the motion. I think it's a really lovely idea that we reuse things as we redevelop things and renew things in Bayside. Like, for instance, we had the church knocked down just near here recently, and when we previewed that in the committee, I suggested that we reuse the beautiful timber inside as a nod to that place when that parklet gets made, so that we're not completely losing our history and we can showcase that circular economy procurement in the new facilities that we have. Potentially, Councillor Barlow, you also mentioned tonight, is there anything that can be salvaged out of that Bexley site? You know, these are the sorts of things we could run an eye over anything that's being demolished, and is there some reuse that we can have to keep that connection going with our community? Thank you.
Councillor Douglas. Any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.10, making waste separation at source easier for residents. Moved Councillor Kasim. Seconded Councillor Strong. Councillor Kasim.
Just to cabinet, I'm happy for this motion also to be to come back to council in the white paper. With the tree self-explanatory, again, this is building on the excellent work council already does with our 22 waste collections at a very cost-effective, in a very cost-effective manner, I should say. So it already, and I'm aware of that, it already does it very cost-effectively, and I want to commend that. This is only seeking to make it easier for our residents to actually drop things off, because not everybody can actually get to those 22. They're fantastic, but not everyone can get to them. So it's to make it easier, because the end result is more of this stuff into these centres, and that would obviously mean less for landfill. What I would like to say in this regard is that I do take on board, I understand comments made by the General Manager on this, and say that one of the things which we did see at the Waste Conference was excellent usage of surveillance cameras. And so I think it is possible, in fact, to utilise surveillance cameras at these sort of neighbourhood drop-off centres to ensure that they are just, you know, residents dropping off things they should be dropping off. It is possible to enforce that, and that's what I would encourage be included in this.
Councillor Kasim. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Being 9 p.m, I suggest councillors we maybe take a 5-minute break before coming back to the rest of the agenda. Moved Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Bezic. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. We'll resume at 9:05. It's half time. we're good. Welcome back, councillors. Item 13.11, Arncliffe Park, installation of shelter seats. Moved Councillor Nagy, seconded Councillor Sarabanovsky.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Arncliffe Park is one of the most active sporting community spaces in our area. It attracts the largest crowds for grassroots football across the region. This motion seeks the installation of 4 shelter seats for spectators. While modest, this infrastructure greatly improves comfort, accessibility and overall usability of the park. It supports families and parents attending during the week or on a game days, the elderly by offering shaded seating that promotes well-being and inclusion. For older residents, more seating helps them remain active, socially connected and safe while enjoying the park. This is a small investment with a substantial community benefit. I urge Council to support this proposal for the amenity and well-being of all Arncliffe Park users.
Thank you, Councillor Sarabanovsky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I support this motion on the basis that we're improving the facility for the residents, for the many residents that attend either through games or through going for a walk or sitting on the park or going a walk with the dog. Thank you.
Councillor Sarabanovsky. Councillor Brederhoft.
Yeah, thanks. I just have a question as to why 4? Like, I'm totally in support of this, but is 4 enough? Or
Is that question addressed to me, Mr Mayor, through you?
I assume it was addressed to you as the mover
Okay,
of the motion.
thank you. Look, you're right. It should be a lot more than 4. But during the games I attend, I thought 4 is a good start and we'll see how it goes. And a matter of fact, on the humorous side, that Arncliffe Park needs a grandstand. Thank you. A grandstand. But it's too expensive to build. But look, these shelters, not only for sporting games, but it's for the elderly. I've seen them. I walk around and they are there playing cards, sitting together, having a sandwich to eat. You know, it's good for the mental health of the elderly. So it will, you know, what they say, a stone with two, you get to benefit 2 things. One is the sporting games where they can sit, and the other one is on the social one. There's no games on the social activities. Thank you.
Councillor Nagy. Councillor Douglas.
Through the chair, I just had a question for the General Manager from the comments that it mentions it's $35,000 per shelter. That's 4 shelters. It means $140,000 and it can be achieved. The General Manager mentions if we reprioritise something in the operational plan 2025, 2026, I wondered if any consideration had been put into what that reconsideration would need to be or what the process will be for councillors to do that.
Thank you through the chair. Finding the 140,000 additional funding in the 25-26 budget is a big ask. What we are looking at, what the staff have been working on, is the timing of the 4 shelters. And I know that Councillor Nagy has spoken about this earlier, that if we were phasing them potentially over a couple of financial years rather than trying to do them all in one financial year, then that's something that we can manage out of our rolling program of picnic shelter replacements. So what I would be suggesting, if we do a couple in the 25-26 year and we're rolling into the end of 26 and it becomes 26-27, then that rolling program will be able to fund the 4 shelters.
And I'd imagine we'd also potentially look at grant opportunities, and we might have underspends, you know, because our council staff are very diligent and save us money all the time, or other funds might become available.
Mr Mayor, I did make the comment
Councillor Barlow.
to Councillor Nagy that I thought 2 was enough, and I believe the logic is there, and I just thought it was funny that you brought back a very long memory of 1996 with the grandstand at Arncliffe Park. where former Councillor Phil Bellamy and myself was our first threat. We got letters in the mail in Leicester, vote for us or burn. So that just brought back a funny memory.
Is that a funny memory?
We did have a grandstand there at that time, but not anymore. But I believe that I think what the General Manager said, 2 in this year would be fine. I feel 4 at the one time. And that way you're spreading out the costs, and possibly other areas need that extra funding.
See how we go. All right, councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour? All those...
Sorry, I got there's a couple of issues that always where the money's coming from, fair enough. But a capital works budget is 90 million per annum. You're telling me we can't find the money? And I'm sure Mr. Richard Sheridan, I have the confidence in his department that he will find those money. And guess what? I don't know how we came up with $35,000 each one. I did my own investigation and asked professionals, licensed, accredited, and guess what? If you go to Felton website, it's only $5,000 for the whole aluminium bench. Then 2 by 2 metres of concrete, and all you need is someone to screw them down on the concrete. And I can tell you, I asked how much would it cost, and he said a total of $45,000. Maybe we can subcontract it to that person who is licensed and so on. So, but I can point you, Mr. Mayor, where we can find money. Okay, go to the capital works. There are seats renewable funding that we have that's coming up very soon, and it's in our report. I'm not just quoting from my own thinking. And also the local area fund, which is near shops, and Gardiner Park is right opposite the shops. I think we can deliver. We can deliver. We can deliver without any problem. But if you see fit to do 2 next year and 2 after, that's up to the council. But I think we can do the 4 in one go. Thank you.
You, Councillor Naji. I think the General Manager had some kind of replies to those points, but I don't think we need to hear them.
Excuse me.
He's the mayor. Replies. I think she made a very valid point that it is a heritage park and we need to match the heritage aesthetic of the park in order to put in new shelters, which I imagine contributes significantly to the cost. Gardiner Park. The stone wall's heritage, and so is the picnic shelter.
That's right, it's to match that shelter.
I imagine that's why they're substantially more expensive. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.12, discretionary funding policy, moved Councillor Naji, seconded Councillor Bezic.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll try to be as quickly as possible.
Try.
This came about, Mr. Mayor, when I looked at our neighbouring council. Our neighbouring council, Georges River. This motion proposes that Bayside Council create a discretionary funding policy. This would allow us as councillors to assist small non-for-profit organisation within our LGA. Organisations, sometimes more or less are forgotten as they do not have the power or the access like some of our larger organisations, nor the time to apply to our current grant programs. Georges River Council already does this, and it is an example of compassionate government. The way it would work if it were mimicking Georges River Council, the policy would allow councillors to donate small amounts to not-for-profit across the LGA, whether it is a homeless shelter or Meals on Wheels. The organisation would be nominated by the councillor and would then be dealt by our professional staff and the organisation. It would also be registered at the council meeting, meaning full transparency and disclosure. Let us all note for the record that the council grant budget for 2 years in a row. All grants were allocated through the budget as a result of the community either unaware or none have time nor capacity. And that is shortfall, which means that we budgeted for a certain amount, but we were short of 60 to 80,000 a row. Here's your money there, Mr Mayor. Here's your money. So if any councillor wondering where we can get that money from. So, like I said, the budgeted amount not utilised ranges between 60 to 80,000. The exact amount this policy require. Every councillor will have that opportunity to look for in their wards. And I think it's a great initiative. And I commend this motion as a strong step toward more open and compassionate local government. The money's there, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Naji. Councillors, further discussion. Councillor Douglas.
I have been aware of this discretionary funding policy for some time from Georges River Council, and I also have had conversations with councillors there about how that works. And unfortunately, I can't support the motion because I feel like it puts democracy at risk. It means that councillors can basically use the discretionary funding to buy votes from certain user groups, whether that might be a church or a soccer group or wherever. You know, it encourages people to put money towards where they might get those votes, and I don't think that's a proper due process. I think we have good governance. The current community grants are decided on at an arm's length from councils, from an independent committee, and I think that's the best governance, best process for us to go through in terms of allocating any grants, rather than leaving potentially this open to basically like a form of corruption.
Councillor Douglas. Councillor Morrissey.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't support this either. It's despite the fact I disagree that this is going to be a transparent process. I can only imagine the type of inappropriate lobbying that councillors will be subject to. We have formal community grants. We have grants at every level of government available, and proactive not-for-profits who understand what it means to be a not-for-profit comply with the governance arrangements around that. I don't want my phone ringing for different not-for-profits and saying, I want the money, I want the money. Who am I to decide that on my own? I acknowledge that it's going to come to council, but that's the end bit. There's a lot of conversations that are going to happen before then, behind closed doors, on councillors' mobile phones or wherever or in the street. I think it's not appropriate for us to be in that position. We have any form of government has strong governance around it, as we should. And it's not, I don't want those calls. I don't want people, and then I will say, okay, well I won't be. Someone will say, well, okay, well, I'll give you the 5,000, I'll put that. And then I've got the fallout of all the other people who said, oh, well, what about my 5,000? You can't even get a seat for it's $35,000 for a seat. We can't put a driveway in for less than 20,000, let alone put a footpath in. To provide a bed in a shelter or something, $5,000 is not enough anyway. I'd prefer to have the $75,000, come with a council report and say, here's what we're going to do with the $75,000. Our job as a councillor is to say, you know what, we actually had a shortfall. We had an extra $80,000 to give. If you want some money, here's how you go. Let me connect you with the right people so you can apply for a grant and it goes through due process. So I think there's a perception of favouritism. It'll divide community groups against each other. And I think there's a lack of transparency in this. It's not something that I can support. Thank you.
Councillor Morrissey, further discussion. Councillor Curry.
Yeah, look, we have a very robust grant process twice a year where it's open to every registered not-for-profit where they can apply. Council has an independent panel which assesses them against a criteria. That is the formal way to do it, and that is what good governance is, and that ensures that we are meeting that high level of standard that is required in this decision making, and removes us from any potential bias that would be quite evident, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Curry. Any further discussion, councillors? Councillor Bezic.
I'm not sure how this is any different to what the $300,000 that local members get to distribute to their community every year. It's on a similar sort of policy. We're connected with our community, so that's why I support the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Bezic. Any further discussion? Councillor Naji, right of reply.
Thank you, Councillor Bezic. You must have been reading my mind. You know, where MPs all across the state, whether Liberal, Labor, Independent, Green, get $300,000 a year at their discretion. And you would know that, Mr Mayor. You are the Chief of Staff. You know how it works. And I take insult at Councillor Douglas saying, we got to buy our votes. Huh? We haven't even had the grants, and check the history. My votes keep going up and up and up every election, and I don't have to buy votes. And I can't believe, if I look around this chamber, all councillors, I deem them to be honest, transparent, not a corruption thing that might happen and buying. And guess what? We have not one ward councillor in every ward. We have 3. And they are from all walks of life, from all political sphere. And it comes to the council. We are transparent. And Councillor Morrissey, I respect what you say, but these 5,000 grants isn't to go and build that driveway, isn't going to put in a shelter. These are for non-for-profit organisations who are in need of small funding. And it will be at the discretion of every councillor. And you know what? It'll be registered and everyone can see it. And if Councillor Douglas is right, there's someone who isn't honest, believe me, it will be seen straight away, pointed out and reported to the right authorities. I can't believe it. It's working so well in Georges River. Why can't it work here? And guess what? If it's about discretionary, so are we right to accuse MPs, are they giving it to their friends? No, by all means. There is a process in every way. And all I'm saying, the community funding, it's failing in the sense that we're getting less short. That means not many people are applying. So let's not disadvantage the small non-for-profit organisations, the really small one. Are we here to help the community, or is it because Councillor Naji put it up, hey, there's something wrong here, he's going to buy votes? Mate, I can give him a kebab for free and get votes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Naji. All those in favour? All those against? No. I think they declare that lost. Division. Division. Councillor Curry. Against. Councillor Morrissey. Against. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Boudelay. Councillor Strong. Councillor Kasim. Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Saravinovsky. Councillor Naji. Councillor Discu. Councillor Awada. Councillor Barlow. Councillor Poulos. Councillor Douglas. And myself against. Declare the motion lost. Item 13.15, Rockdale Arts and Culture Concept and Needs Assessment. Moved Councillor Douglas. Seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillors, any discussion? Moved Councillor Brederhoft. Seconded Councillor Douglas. Thanks.
Through Mayor. Look, this motion is about, and thank you for the General Manager for the comments, and I don't think this motion is not to be about replicating something that's already there. That's the great arts and culture strategy that Council has from 2024 to 2029. But this motion is supposed to build upon that and to really look at what are we going to do with the Rockdale Arts and Culture Hub that Council has committed to. It's a bit like, you know, when we want to build an office space, we need to look into how many people need to sit in the office, and this is sort of the same thing. What do we really need? Investigate. Do we need a gallery space? When we have a gallery space, where are the artists? You know, working? And this is sort of moving beyond that. It's about the implementation of the hub. And really what it's supposed to then do is finding the right space, because we don't want to commit to an investment of a building that is, you know, maybe larger than we need and maybe bigger than we need, or maybe too small to what we need. So this is sort of the next step to ensure that our investment into this, into the future of the Rockdale Arts and Culture Centre is sufficient.
You, Councillor Brederhoff, further discussion? Councillor Barlow.
I actually was going to move an amendment to say that it be received and noted so that everyone could get the arts and culture, the strategy that came last time. Fantastic development, fantastic document. So if you haven't got it, I believe you should ask for it, read it, and okay, you want a hub, where are you going to put it? I think it should be delayed because I believe when the target site is now, it's 2025, so it must be running out of the lease. So I believe that might be it's no point just planning for something when you haven't got it. It's great to have it was great to have this strategy, and I hope if you read it, if you've put a notice of motion up, possibly you have read it. I know Councillor Douglas has, because she was here when we approved it. So I'm a bit disappointed that this is here when we could be once again looking at it later when we can even find somewhere. We've got to audit the cultural assets. Rockdale Theatre. Well, I don't know where Rockdale Theatre is because we don't have a Rockdale Theatre. We have the Guild Theatre, we have the Town Hall, we have a Lidham Hall as a museum, we have the libraries, we have lots of libraries, but they use these patterns. But this is once again getting the poor staff to start to do something. I know in 6 to 12 months, but it's the fact that I assume you're going to change Rockdale Theatre because I have no idea where that is. I'm assuming it is the Guild Theatre. Brilliant theatre, absolutely brilliant. Great show coming up. We had a lady from Fix It Sister made a skull. I made a tea cosy for the last production. They said, can you make a Art Deco tea cosy? So I made the tea cosy.
I don't think the Art Deco tea cosy is relevant to the discussion.
No, I'm just saying the Guild Theatre is something that is there, and I don't know if they want to change the name to what it should be, I presume. But I'm just disappointed that, one, maybe everyone should be reading the arts and culture, this strategy first before you come back with something like that. So it's too late now, but I would have moved a motion that be received and noted and everyone any interested councillors be issued with this, because I believe, once again, we're putting the cart before the horse. We haven't got a place. I believe it could be over the road, but we don't know, and can't even think of anywhere at the moment. We had the Bexley Library, which is now gone. That was beyond saving. So anyway, I'm disappointed that something's come up like this when it could have waited. You could have thought about it. You could have read the strategy and then decided.
Sorry, further discussion. Councillor Douglas.
I mean, it's difficult to talk about this because we're also tonight talking about a confidential item which we're not allowed to talk about. But we've been through councillor motion briefings on that, which is about the Rockdale Town Centre, and this motion builds on what is part of that process to create some framework for that process. So it builds on the amazing work of the arts and culture strategy, you're right, Councillor Barlow, and then takes it the next step. So how do we bed that down so that it becomes part of that new revitalisation of Rockdale? And so this motion is carefully considering that and looking at the next practical steps that we need. I think, as it notes in the motion, we've already committed to the development of a Rockdale Arts and Culture Centre. We had a previous proposal on the table. It was very popular with the community, my understanding from the consultation that was done, but unfortunately the costings were too high to preserve those buildings, so they've been recently demolished. So we're now looking at a new facility in Rockdale, or a reimagining of a local facility. So I think we already know as a council that we want to do this. It's just like how, where, when are the questions that I believe this motion is bringing to the table for us to surface so that we can come up with that next step to meet those community needs.
Councillor Douglas, further discussion? No. Councillors, all those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. No division, very surprising. Item 13.16, development of a homelessness policy for Bayside Council.
Can I defer that, Mr. Mayor, I was on my feet first. You weren't looking at me though.
When you move a notice of motion, you have a right to move the motion. You can't move someone else's notice of motion.
I'll move a shadowed one.
Councillor Brederhoft.
Can I defer that, please? The motion.
Councillor Brett wishes to defer the motion. Item 13.17, Story Dogs Reading Program. Moved Councillor Barlow, unless someone else would like to.
I was going to move it.
I just want to know if it's fenced or not.
No, it's all right. I've got photos of the dogs. And it just came up that when I was in Tasmania, I happened to be at a library, or my sister had been there, and the story dogs were there with their coats on, waiting for the school children to come in, so that the dogs could be read to. Now, there was a greyhound there. I mean, they're lounge lizards. A greyhound. There was a party poodle, but a miniature one. There was a one-eyed Labrador, a Kelpie, and something else. Well-behaved dogs. But it was just an idea. Possibly it mightn't work, but you just don't know, because it's something that I feel was a wonderful story, and it's in all the schools, and it has been in the library in Launceston. So I'm wondering if it could be looked at to see if it's appropriate for somewhere here. And I believe so many children are scared of dogs, and I think they become quite related to the dog, and they read to the dog. They don't feel as though anyone's looking down at them when they make a mistake. The dog just looks at them or licks them. But so it's just an idea that possibly it might work.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.18, food trucks and pop-up shops audit. Moved Councillor Saravinovsky. Seconded Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to be quick and stay relevant to the motion and not catch any nonchalant strays from you. As councillors, we're aware that mobile food premises and pop-up shops are subject to audits in line with relevant legislation. These audits are essential to ensure compliance with food safety standards established by the New South Wales Health Department and Council. This system is in place to protect public health and uphold community standards. Before I go any further, I would thank the staff, and I know we do quite a lot of work, so it's very, this isn't me to change their ways, it's more of actually fine-tuning it and actually delivering the best result possible for the community. However, I've recently been approached by a number of residents and local business owners who have raised genuine concerns about how some of these mobile operators are affecting their neighbourhoods and livelihoods. These concerns are excessive noise, strong odours, no facilities, i.e. toilets or amenities for hygiene purposes, and in some cases poor food quality. Another concern relates to hours of operation of some food trucks, which extend into the late morning and early hours of the day, overlapping with and directly clashing with the normal trading hours of nearby brick and mortar businesses. These local businesses, many of which have served the community for years, contribute to our economy, pay rent and outgoing expenses. For example, there is currently a coffee truck operating on Princess Highway, Willow Creek, that trades during peak morning hours and remains permanently parked just 200 metres away from the long-established local coffee shop. This raises concerns about unfair competition and the impact on customer retention for businesses that are already doing it tough. Therefore, part of this motion calls for Council to inspect these sites and confirm whether such operations are permissible within the zoning regulations. To address these matters comprehensively, I move that Council notes that audits of mobile food premises and pop-up shops are currently conducted in accordance with relevant legislation to ensure they comply with food and safety regulations as set by New South Wales Health Department and Council. Council be provided with a report outlining the performance and compliance status of the 13 mobile food vans registered within Bayside, and the other 17 operated within our LGA but registered with external councils. Any complaints received about these vendors and how Council has responded. And Council also report how many food vendors and pop-up shops currently operating within Bayside have notified Council of their trading activities under New South Wales Food Authority's licensing rules. Council inspects the sites of concern, confirms whether those mobile vendors are operating legally within the zoning restrictions of their locations. This is not opposing food trucks or innovation. They bring life to our public spaces and offer variety to our residents. But they must operate responsibly, fairly, and especially when it comes to coexisting with long-term local businesses who do the right thing and contribute meaningfully to our community, I commend this motion to the chamber. Thank you.
Councillor Sarabanovsky, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.19, rooftop public recreational space, moved Councillor Kassim. Seconder. Seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Kassim.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Look, I'd just like to start by slightly amending for clarification that this should read investigates and reports on options for acquiring all major industrial commercial developments in, and we can just take out high density Mascot area in the Mascot area. Include public accessible rooftop recreational areas to help meet the demand for sporting and other facilities for local residents. It will be clear to everyone that actually, you know, Mascot, and we have a few other areas which are high density and more which will become more high density, but Mascot in particular has very limited recreational facilities for the number of people living there. We have a couple of green spaces, but really there is not a lot there. And it's also equally obvious to everyone that recreational space is essential for all residents, essential for their exercise, essential for their mental health, essential for their social connection, many reasons why people need active and passive recreational space. To date, we have utilised voluntary planning agreements very well in this council in order to help fund the existing small number that we have, but the existing facilities around Mascot. You know, we'll, for example, help to fund the upgrade of Mascot Oval and the Botany Pool, and these are all excellent, but they're still limited. So what this is proposing is that we investigate the possibility of utilising rooftop space in major industrial developments as part of voluntary planning agreements in order to, as I say, give local residents the chance of having other recreational space available to them. Thank you.
Councillor Kassim, any further discussion? No. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Item 13.20, walking and lighting, moved Councillor Kassim, seconded Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Kassim.
Residents of areas which do need attention, even if we may not be providing the lighting ourselves, we do have an important role in advocating for lighting for our residents for their safety. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councillor Barlow.
Just a question. With all the lighting that we have in the streets, who pays for it?
General Manager.
Thank you. Through the chair. Council is not the owner of the street lighting. However, we do have to pay for the luminaires.
Yes, I thought we had to pay some money into it, so thank you.
Recently replaced them with LEDs and saved lots of money. Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Councillors, do we have any questions with notice? Councillors? No. All right, we have 4 items to be considered in confidential session, being item CS 25.013 and ARIC 25.015, 25.016 and 25.017. In accordance with section 10A4 of the Local Government Act and Council's Code of Meeting Practice, I invite members of the public to make representations as to whether or not this part of the meeting should be closed to the public to consider the confidential items. Anyone online? No. There being no representations, I move that Council closes the meeting to the public for the reasons outlined in the report. Is there a seconder? Seconded Councillor Morrissey. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Ask the press and public to leave the chamber before we consider the confidential items. I don't think we have the press and public. you, councillors. I now call on the General Manager to announce the resolutions carried in the closed session. General Manager.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. In relation to CS 25013, the resolution reads that Council notes this report and the competitive salary system within Council's early education and care centres, that Council endorses self-funded salary increases to Bayside Council childcare educators to ensure we remain an employer of choice for the childhood centres, and that Council writes to the USU to confirm Council's position on the basis and the position on which the decision was made.
We've got three more.
I know. Come on, move up. In relation to ARIC 25015, ARIC 25016 and ARIC 25017, that the report be prepared to the City Performance Committee to brief councillors on the first two, 015 and 016, and in relation to 017, that a report be prepared for the City Works and Assets Committee to brief councillors on findings on this matter.
Thank you, General Manager. There being no further items on the agenda this evening, I declare the meeting closed at 10:04 p.m.